What is up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Dr. Andrew Pinesett here. And today we're talking about AI in all of your education, but in particular for my future doctors, it is essential that you understand how and when and why you should use AI to really push yourself forward as opposed to holding yourself back. And this topic comes up because I had a student who called me last week and they were crying on the phone when they called me and said, Dr. Pinesett, I made a huge mistake. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? And it's because they are under administrative review for an ethics violation, all because they didn't understand how to use AI during their clinical rotation. And now, as a result, they're at risk of failing the rotation, right? That's a most likely, like, that's definitely going to happen, at least that. But they're also at risk for potentially being dismissed from their med school entirely and having this red flag put on them where they can't create the future they've been dreaming of. And imagine, right? You do all this work to get into medical school, you get through all the first 2 years, you pass step one, and then you get to your clinical rotations. And because you don't understand the AI rules in this new AI game, you mess around and you could flame your entire medical career. It's crazy. So it's very important. We're gonna get into it today. We're gonna break it down. I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna tell you all about the kind of the future of AI in education and what's happening right now behind the scenes, both in college and in medical education. And then we'll get to some hard, fast rules that you guys, as students, as pre-meds, as medical students, as clinicians, can use to use AI safely, to be a better student, a better doctor, and not be handicapped and not shoot yourself in the foot. So, before I hit the intro, if you get nothing else, if you leave right now, understand that a lot of you guys see AI as like this holy grail that's going to save your life. But if you don't know how to use it, it's going to handicap you and it's potentially going to disable you in your career and make it so that you cannot go forward. So you must know how to use it correctly or it will expose you for the fraud you are and the inept student you are. So I'm gonna hit the intro and let's get right into it. And we're live action, guys. So if you have any questions, I'm here for you guys. Put the questions in the box. I will answer them at the end. Let's get to it.
Today is the day, guys. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. No excuses, just dominate.
All right, guys. I'm Dr. Andrew Pinesett, the pre-med protein expert. I am a Stanford graduate. I'm an anesthesiologist by day, but I love working with students. I've been doing it for over 20 years, helping students be more positive, be more productive, and reach their goals. And in this new world of AI, it's really complicated my job because the number of students who are coming to me who already, right, in this short wave of AI revolution, have already become dependent in bad ways on AI where it comes to scheduling apps, where it comes to focus apps, where it comes to note-taking apps, where it comes to all these aspects of AI where the student has lost so many gains and so many practical skills that they should have. It makes my job harder. And then when I go talk at universities and at medical schools, it makes my job more complicated too because people kind of give me a brush off when I'm talking about reading and I'm talking about putting their nose in a book because they're like, man, the AI is going to do it all for me. That's the way they're looking at it, right? But AI, guys, is not something that's going to save you. It's not this do your job for you. It's not a replacement for you. AI is a tool. And if you listen, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. I read a lot of different literature and articles because I want to stay up to date on everything that's happening in this world, right? You got to be educated, got to be informed. As we talk about here, you can't make great decisions without great information and great education. We have to be educated, right? This is the problem with so many of us are TikTok educated. We got to go deeper. We got to really be educated on things. And so I love to listen to in-depth podcasts with experts. I love to read interviews that these people are giving to major publications, World Street Journal, The Atlantic, and so forth, and on and on. But I like getting in depth on this. And if you've been listening to any of the AI leaders, the people who are on the forefronts, OpenAI, all these kind of things, what they're talking about, right, is we are just on the cusp of what AI can really do. But even way down the road, a decade from now, the thought of truly autonomous AI, we're not going to be there. And so AI for the foreseeable future is going to be a tool to augment what you do. We have to understand that. And where this becomes a problem is when people start using AI as a substitute. They start saying AI can think, so I don't need to think. And when you do that, it's going to crush your career. And so this student called me last week and they're calling me and they're crying on the phone, talking about, oh my gosh, my life is over. I'm like, what is going on? And essentially what happened is you have a student on their clinical rotation and they found themselves in the clinical rotation being overwhelmed by the prospects of it, right? The patients, it's so hard to get through all their information, to do the chart review. It's so hard to get my differential diagnoses down. It's so hard to write the note in a proper structured way that sounds great. It's so hard to present on rounds. They struggle with all the things our normal process for medical students struggle with. Some of these processes, they were struggling with it. And so they recognized that AI has been very helpful in other areas with ChatGPT and so forth. And so they thought, let me use that here in my clinical scenario. And so they were using ChatGPT to generate their patient differential diagnoses and also their notes. And then not only that, but they were then copying them verbatim into the clinical record. And now, guys, this is super important. So the American Medical Association has come out. The AAMC has come out. Multiple heavy hitter organizations who set the standard have said copying AI or removing the physician, removing the clinical decision making from the process is fraud. When it comes to billing, when it comes to your professional life, it is fraud. And so let's get this out of the way. Never, ever, ever, ever copy even someone else's material. Never copy forward into the clinical record, because that is fraud. That is malfeasance. That will get you into big, big trouble. But it's particularly problematic when you're copying and pasting AI, because as we'll talk about, many of the deficits of AI is that AI can hallucinate, right? Any output in life is only as good as the input. And so depending on how you're prompting the AI, what the AI has access to, and then how you're leveraging it, what it thinks the goal is, it can make up things, or it can be inaccurate. It can kind of obfuscate, go over things. It can make assumptions that aren't true and end up in a bad way. And so it's bad that way, but also it's bad because when you put that information in there, you didn't do the hard work, the thinking of crunching. Okay, these are my patient's variables. This is what their symptoms are. These are what their clinical signs are. This is what the lab shows, what the imaging shows. And based on that, this is my differential diagnosis, most likely, least likely, so forth. And this is why. You miss out on that. And so this student did that, and they went to rounds and they gave this incredible presentation, right? Days after being a terrible, disorganized presenter on rounds, and it raised eyebrows. So, right? So then the attendant's like, that's interesting. Tell me why you think that. And the student was like, frozen, not able to answer these questions. And as a result, the attending had suspicion, like, what's going on here? They go look at the notes. The notes are drastically different. The presentation is drastically different, but the knowledge of the student wasn't obvious from the questions. And so they took it to the head of the rotation, and that head of the rotation, they discussed it. They looked over the notes. They looked over the big, huge difference. And like, nah, this is plagiarism. This is fraudulent. And so they actually created an ethics report. And now the student has to go in front of the ethics committee. Horrible. Let me tell you guys, at any point in your medical career, if you ever even get evaluated, if there's any investigation into your ethical practice, it's going to be a huge scar in your career. Even the investigation part of it is bad. Truly, guys. This is not like, oh, okay, you know what? Going in front of an ethics committee in a clinical setting is terrible. Don't want to have it happen. And now the student's having it happen, and they're at risk of, they're going to fail the block for sure. They're going to have to redo that. So they're going to cost them time. And then, of course, money, because they're going to be in med school longer. It's also going to potentially cost them being dismissed from this university. And if you guys know about the medical school track and residencies, they're going to ask you, have you ever been dismissed from a school? Have you ever been kicked out for professional or ethics or whatever issues? And you have to say yes, and you have to answer what you did. And for getting into medical school, we all know medical school is super competitive. There are tons of great applicants every single year who are wonderfully qualified who don't get in. So if I'm a medical school and I have my choice of the pick of the litter, the cream of the crop of pre-meds, why would I take the pre-med with the red flags? Truthfully, think about that, guys. I've already got too many qualified applicants I'd love to take. Why would I take the person who's already got an ethics violation and was dismissed from medical school? If you are fortunate enough to even get into another medical school, then you go to apply to residencies. And let's say you're applying in a competitive specialty like neurosurgery, where they have one neurosurgeon across the whole hospital, right? They have their whole residency program is one neurosurgeon residency per year. Am I taking a chance of putting a person who has a clinically related ethics violation into my program to take care of patients, to be a symbol of our program, to represent us out in this world? No. So it is a major blemish if you have a dismissal for ethics. And so this is a huge fork in the moment road. So we had to troubleshoot and find our way through it. But what I want everyone to understand is it's so important. Your AI is not a substitute for learning. It's a partner in your learning. It's there to facilitate. And you have to understand that, and that'll keep you safe. If you recognize that AI is just a tool to assist you and not the end all be all. And for me, I want to talk about this key component before we get into the clinical side of this, because we're going to talk about the clinical aspects of this and how to use AI and how not to use AI. But before we get there, we got to talk about the learning part of it, because I'm a learning specialist, right? I'm someone who helps students go from wherever they are, dealing with disabilities, dealing with learning differences, dealing with, hey, you know what? I'm a typical student, but I struggle with time management as we all do and so forth. How can I be more efficient, more effective in my studying? How can I be more consistent in getting the grades I want to get? And so as a learning person, as a studying person, this is near and dear to my heart because like I said, I'm seeing so many students who don't have basic skills they should have acquired because they're using AI to do all this stuff. AI is the future of learning. And moreover than that, I'll go even further to say AI is the current situation. Sorry for the ding here. Let me put my phone on silent. We're live action. AI is the current situation of learning. It is now. It is here. It is a part. It is a bedrock of our learning. And it will even, in the future, will be even more robust. And it will take over education. It is the future of unlocking AI. I believe this wholeheartedly. And this is something I've been saying for a long, long time. And we've attempted in education to create this personalized learning, this targeted learning, right? We do it through question banks, right? This has been the longest running kind of sort of close to AI we have are these learning banks that are algorithmic and that tell you what you made and what you missed. And you can manually select to target your areas that you're missing, right? We have Anki flashcards, which see which cards you're missing and then point you towards those more, right? That's been like our soft AI. But now we're in a really robust space where there are entirely robust, flexible, dynamic curriculums via AI. And one of the biggest ones right now is Alpha School. If you guys have not heard of Alpha School, Google it. But Alpha School is started off in Texas and is now kind of moving nationally. They have digital classes and they actually have physical classrooms in schools. But Alpha School is for kindergarten through 12th grade students. And their promise and their premise is that you can learn an entire school day's worth of things in 2 hours a day. And that students can do an entire year of curriculum in just a few months. And so it's profound. And the reason it's so powerful and people can learn so with such high fidelity and so quickly is because it's all AI powered and it's very, very dynamic. And so here you have this case of this Alpha School and it's sweeping the nation. They really just opened 2 more by me in California. They're opening up all these brick and mortar spots for these students to go in, learn 2 hours a day. And it's great because like we talk about, right, with study less, get better grades. If I can learn the same amount in less time, it's very powerful because it frees me up to do what? Whatever the flippers I want to do. I can make friends. I can hang out. I can spend time with my family. I can better myself in other ways. I can pursue passions and so forth. And so it's very liberating, especially if you guys you remember high school and how stressful it was, having to do the extracurriculars, having to sit in class all day. There wasn't enough time in the day, right? We had to do 0 periods. They had to add on extra time into the day. This is going to unlock the future. And so in this school, you have kids as young as 5, 6, 7 years old who are using AI separate from a teacher to learn by themselves at a computer using AI with real-time feedback, adaptive learning to what their gaps are. So they're not listening to lectures of stuff they already know, getting automated tutoring, automated feedback, individualized pacing. It's super, super dynamic for these students. And it's just going up the ladder. And I've been sitting in meetings with colleges, with medical schools, and this is the discussion we're having is like, they're like, listen, we got this great technology. We got this great platform that we were pitched and we're trying to roll it out to our students, but we can't quite figure out how to do it. How do we teach them how to use it in a functional way? How do we support them outside of that? Where do we need to insert our professors? Where do we need our tutoring? And this is the other kind of crazy part of it is that actually they're talking about AI assisted advising. Cool, right? Like, hey, you know what? I'm interested in this career. Can you tell me about it? Well, instead of a human, what if an AI had all this information and can instantly point you to job openings, internship openings, summer opportunities, help you out with all this stuff? Like, so AI assisted advising, AI tutors, all this kind of crazy stuff. But they're trying to say, wait, where is the technology useful and where are we not handicapping our students? And so it's all moving very fast and it's going to hit every single level. And from the fact of the schools putting this in, the other side of this is as students, you have access to a bunch of tools. And you have to decide not just what tools am I going to use, but how am I going to use those tools to make me better, not just today, but for the future. And that's the key question, guys. Like, think about that for a second. Write that down. Think about that. ask yourself, okay, yes, there is this tool available to me, this AI, but is this tool going to make me a better student, not just today, in the long run? Is it going to make me know more? Is it going to make me a faster reader? Is it going to make me able to go through the material that's complex and make it my own? Is it going to build me into my future self? Or is it just feel good today and it's easy for today, but in the long run, I'm in trouble, right? We have to think about this from both sides, and it's really, really dynamic and it's changing. And the core problem is that, like I said, you guys think that AI is just like this easy button, like, okay, AI world, AI. Like, there's so many people. I also talk, right? I do talk with students, but I also talk with companies, and we talk about employee productivity and so forth. And there are so many employees who are doing the bare minimum with AI, like, oh, I do Microsoft Copilot to help me with writing. Like, they're doing basic stuff, but they aren't interested in actually learning AI because they think that AI is going to replace their job, not recognizing that if they don't find ways to integrate AI into their workflow, that someone else who is AI proficient is going to replace them in their job, right? So we have to understand as students, as future clinicians, that AI is not just an easy do-it-all button. AI is not there to do all your homework. AI is not there to build the knowledge. And this is the issue, right? If you're using AI to do your homework, great. The homework assignment is done. Your paper is done. But what did we miss out on, guys? We missed out on the learning opportunity. We missed out on the practice of having to read through some material. We missed out on the practice of taking notes. We missed it. So then how, when we don't have the AI or we're in a space, how can we effectively be an independent critical thinker? How can we evaluate? How can we know anything? We have to have our own brain. That will bring us value. Otherwise, the AI will replace you, right? It's a tool. And as with any tool, this is where we get at. If you're not using it properly, it's either going to amplify your competence if you're using it right, like, oh, it's awesome, like it's making me faster, it's making me able to learn faster, it's making me able to complete assignments better, more efficiently, and it's making me able to go deeper into this and be high level and bring supporting details and so forth, and write an outstanding paper that I otherwise couldn't write. Or this AI can be something that's going to amplify your incompetence. And this is what I'm seeing a lot of, is where students think they're competent, think they're proficient because they're being fed all this stuff. But then once they are unhooked from their AI, they're idiots. Sorry to say that way, but that's what's happening. So we want to be looking at AI as something that can give us a starting point, that can organize us, right? That can get us some early drafts, that can create study questions, give us nice little summaries, and help us think about alternate ways to think about complex topics, but not just give us the material, right? It can't think for you, right? It can't guarantee its accuracy. It can't replace. If you're trying to become a future physician, you got to be able to learn, y'all, right? A medical career is about lifelong learning. That's why people talk about, oh, lifelong learning. It's because you got to be learning, y'all, and learning from the AI. You got to be able to get through it. You got to have the reading comprehension skills. And so as we talk about this, if you guys are with me right now, if you guys are live action, we are live action here. Take a second, like this video. I'm Dr. Andre Pinesett, and today we're talking about AI in medical education. And for all you future doctors, how not to get in trouble. And the whole impetus of starting this video was I had a student call me last week, and they are in front of the ethics committee for using AI improperly. So we want to get informed, we want to get educated, we want to understand the rules of this so we can leverage it to become super students and not be in trouble. Yes? All right. So with this AI, I have my signature study program is the 5 pillars of studying less and getting better grades. And this is a coaching program where students get access to a really, really sound 5-pillared learning system. They also get access to me in weekly coaching. It's a great program. I recently, from that program, pulled out a subsection of that program that deals with reading. And I call it the Prime Reading Protocol. That's my reading system. And I pulled that out and I'm offering it as a separate course to people right now, because as I am meeting with schools, as I am working with students, I'm recognizing that with AI here, it's even more important that you guys have high quality reading skills and tactics and a system to be able to read fast, to be able to read with high comprehension, to be able to take that reading and then create long-lasting, meaningful understanding, and then ultimately to create applicability so you can apply it effectively on exams or, in the case of future doctors, in the clinic with actual patients. So I recognize that. So now that's why I'm offering that course, my primary reading protocol, separately for the first time ever outside of my 5 pillars system. And as I say here, people think, oh, I don't even know how to read all this stuff. I can just have the AI break it down for me. No, y'all. Because when the AI breaks it down, it also gives you words, text. So you have to be able to decipher what the AI is telling you. We have to be able to read. And it starts with just from a basic standpoint. If you haven't built your own knowledge and you're using AI as your knowledge base, it's problematic because the AI can lie, the AI can make mistakes, the AI can be off. And if you don't have a baseline level of knowledge in an area, then you can't tell it, oh, that's not what we're doing. And you can't see if the output is valid or not. And it's problematic. Also, if you don't take the time to create the understanding, right? How are you going to have any ability to go through complex materials and make it your own? And if you think about all the exams you're ever going to take in your life where you're not going to have AI, right? What do they do to make them challenging, right? The SAT, your MCAT, your board exams. They give you a lot of bit of material in a little bit of time. And they don't write those sentences in the normal way you would want to write a functional, healthy sentence. They write them as multiple compound, backwards, flipping, like super run-on sentences. Why? Because it makes the syntax, it makes the text very complicated. And if you don't have high-level reading skills and reading comprehension and critical reading skills, you can't decipher the problem. Yes? And so it's incumbent, it's so important. It's why I stress to my students, reading is the number one skill you must develop, because if you can break down a textbook, if you can break down complex materials, it makes you an unstoppable student. It makes you capable of being independent. You want the practice of going through these materials right now, especially if you guys are an undergrad. Stop using the AI to create these summaries, guys. You need these practices. You need these opportunities when the material's simpler before you get to the fire hose of medical school and you really have to go through it. Use this time. Do the extra legwork. Learn how to read. Learn how to create meaning. Learn how to write notes. It's crazy. You got to know how to take notes. You got to know how to dissect things. You got to know how to break it down. If your reading skills are weak, not only will you not be able to break down the complex stuff, not be able to do well on tests, but also even the AI, it's going to embarrass you and put you in a really, really bad spot. And with this AI being pushed forward, there's 2 types of students you're going to become. And it's already happening. We're seeing it. It's like what happens in social media. You have a lot of people who are social media smart, social media experts, right? You guys saw what China did, is make their experts validate their freaking degrees. Why are you characters listening to people whose only source of validity is the amount of followers they have on social media? It's stupid. You're listening to people who got a scrub cap on, who got a white coat on, and I was on this 10 years ago. I was like, wait a minute. Why is this person who's a pre-med on social media in a white coat acting like they're some kind of something or other? Like, oh, I just bought this at the store. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. It's fake. It's fraud. And it's the same thing that's going to happen, right? People are social media experts. Well, oh, I heard on the TikTok. I heard on my Facebook feed. I heard it on X. These things happening. With AI, that's happening right now, where people are becoming AI dependent. They don't read. They don't think for themselves. What does the AI tell me to do? They let AI do all of their writing, so they don't know how to put together a competent paragraph, a competent essay, how to articulate themselves. They copy everything blindly, not even thinking about it. And then in the end, they can't defend their work, and they're going to get caught, and they're going to get dismissed like the student was. It's going to happen to you. The second type of student, and this is the opportunity, guys. We are on the front wave of this AI. All of you guys should be leaning into AI. I'm an old school person. I still take notes. A lot of times I was in notebooks. I still do it to this day when I just want to get my thoughts out. I like the feel of that pen. But I've moved. I've adapted because I recognize AI is the future. And so now I am using a little bit more Notion. I am using a little bit more of my Google Drive and doing different things because I recognize that we are here on this front wave. And if I don't adapt and I don't lean into this AI revolution, then I'm going to be left behind. I'm going to get mollywopped in the whitewash. And so the second type of student is students leaning into AI and who understands that AI is a tool like a wrench that we can use for leverage to get tasks done. And so when you guys use AI, I want you to use AI to speed up your learning, to look for opportunities to say, hey, listen, AI, teach me something different than what I understand. Hey, AI, this is my understanding. What do you think? And to have these conversations, these dialogues. for my students, I teach them as we're learning, we're doing elaborative interrogation, meaning, yes, I learned a fact or I learned a concept, I learned an idea, but I'm not going to stop at just what I gathered superficially from this. I'm going to take the time and I'm going to build this elaborative weave. I'm going to break down that concept. I'm going to interrogate it to figure out what other things I can understand about it and other angles and connections and all these things. So that way I have a really robust and well-rounded understanding of that concept or of that idea. Well, you now, right? For me, the way I do it, I read whatever, and then I look up and I have this complex conversation with all my multiple personalities where we're all talking to each other about the material, right? Oh, like this is my analytic brain, this is my emotional brain, this is my kid brain. All these brains coming together to really, like I call, fondle the material and make it my own. Well, now you don't have to do that. You can have that conversation, but then you can also use AI to have a conversation. Hey, AI, we're just learning about metabolism and glycolysis. For me, glycolysis, I'm thinking about breaking down these sugars for these energies. Hey, you know what? Is there anything else that I should be thinking about? Or hey, what happens if I interrupt this circuit? What might happen? Okay, that's what happens. Okay, hey, what are some practice problems you can create for me from this concept? So you can use the AI to really enhance your learning and speed up your learning and really get to the targets you want. Yes? You can use AI, like I said, to test your understanding by putting problems together. And then not just like simple problems. You can say, hey, listen, put together a very difficult problem, right? Put these two concepts together in a like you can have AI do so many fun things that can enhance your learning and make your work better. One great application that I think is awesome is that you can take your homework set, you can scan it into your computer, and then you can actually feed that to your AI and say, hey, listen, here's my homework set. I'd like you to create an additional 100 problems like this. And now what have you guys done? You've taken what was 10 problems, you made it 100. How about you guys take your old exams? When you guys get those old exams that you guys can review, and like, oh man, I wish I had more of these old exam problems to do. Well, hey, upload the old exam and say, hey, this is my previous exam. Give me a similar exam or even harder exam. Give me 100 questions like this in the exam. And now we've amplified our ability to practice and learn and get better. Yes? You can go into the AI and have them explain something to you. So, hey, this is my understanding, blah, 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 and have them reflect back to you their understanding. And then you can ask the AI for a different perspective. Hey, explain it to me a different way. Hey, give me a metaphor for this. Hey, give me an analogy of this. Hey, I'm really into baseball. Give me a baseball analogy that parallels this. So you can use it to really, really enhance your learning. You can use it to create schedules, study plans, and so forth, right? So if you're like, man, I really struggle to stick with an effective study plan. Here's when I like to study. Here's what I have to study. Help me organize this and not use it as just a one blank slate output, but to say, listen, this is the idea it gave me. It's a nice rough guideline, but now I'm going to adapt it to what really works for me and really hypes me up, right? That's the student who's going to dominate in undergrad, in their MCAT, in medical school, in clinicals. They're using it to enhance themselves. And for all of you guys, I feel like there's a lot of rhetoric out here that's saying AI is going to replace all doctors. It's not. It's going to replace some of the things that doctors do, and eventually it may replace some physician jobs, but it's not going to replace physicians entirely. And so as we pivot and we go to talking about the clinical side of this, where do we start with this? So when I was talking to this student, I was like, listen, you think that your issue started the day you started copying from the chat GPT into your clinical notes. But I'm here to tell you that your problem started well before that. And I said, I haven't talked to you in over a year. And when I don't hear from my students, I know it's not because they're doing so great, because everyone loves to share celebration. When I don't hear from my students, I know it's because they've gone off the rails. And one of the things that happens in medical school is you get to medical school and you forget what got you there. You've been working with Dr. Pinesett, doing my 5-pillar system all through undergrad, got all the good grades, got into medical school, and then you get to medical school and you go to that first week of orientation and you let know nothing, quote unquote, learning specialists talk you out of doing what we've talked about. You let other medical students who don't know what they're talking about, second year medical students act like big dogs, like, oh yeah, if you want to do great in first year, here's what you should do. When they struggled all first year. And so they have you doing things outside of your character and outside of your skill set, and it makes it a huge struggle for you. And so for this student, I said, listen, what were you been doing the first 2 years? What's been going on? Oh, well, I've been busy with this, and I really struggle with this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, Is that what I teach you to do? Well, no, but so-and-so said this, and then so-and-so said this, and that's why I was trying this, but it's been a real big struggle. And so I said, listen, this moment today is here because you've been cheaping out using these terrible learning, quote unquote, tools that don't facilitate learning. What do? They facilitate you quickly memorizing something for an exam, but you don't have any understanding, any why. And I said, when you get to the clinical environment, it isn't black and white. It's a million shades of gray. Every patient with COPD is slightly different. Every heart failure, yes, there's a lot that's the same, but it's different. And so you have to have around the margins, you have to have the clinical reasoning to be able to sift through it all. And so in the preclinical time, stop using these shortcut apps, these shortcut learning tools, and instead spend the time to truly learn how to decipher complex medical literature. Spend the time to create your own understanding of the different clinical diseases and the mechanisms and the pathways and the treatments and why that treatment makes sense. Not just that's the treatment. Why does that treatment work? Why does that antibiotic make sense for this? Why does it? Thinking about all these things instead of letting the AI just tell you what it is and memorizing the raw facts. And so I said, listen, in your first 2 years, you didn't build this skill. You didn't have the ability to know this stuff and the fund of knowledge. And so now when you get to clinicals, you don't have the deep, meaningful understanding you have. And so it makes everything 1,000 times harder because you can't understand what this patient has or how these symptoms come together or why these symptoms make sense or why this treatment makes sense. It all doesn't make sense to you. I said, additionally, you didn't take the time to learn how to take something very complex and make it simple and do it quickly. And so now here you are in clinics trying to learn about new conditions, but you haven't been trained to read fast and to decipher and to create your own understanding. And so even when you do find the correct thing, you're trying to read up on it, you struggle, and so you use an AI to synthesize it. I said, you were using AI to get your differential direct diagnosis together to help you with small group rounds. We walked through all this. I'm streamlining the process that we went through. All right, we identify issues and we solve them, like we were talking about in the last live stream. And I was like, you're talking about how you were using AI to help you get your presentations together for your small group learning, your problem-based learning. That's terrible. You're supposed to go in there and come up with it and struggle early on, but then you get better and more efficient and more effective and more organized at getting it together so that way you can give a competent patient presentation. Then you wouldn't be struggling on rounds right now to get your words together to present in an organized, meaningful fashion. So it all starts back there. Does that make sense to everybody what I'm saying? We have to we have to have a foresight that it's not just about today being easier. It's about what am I doing to make tomorrow easier. And I read a great article, talking about like articles I'm reading. I read a great article in the Wall Street Journal, and it was a longitudinal study. They did a long study. Someone did, and the Wall Street Journal was writing it up. But it was talking about the fact that they were. It's that principle of would you rather work super hard for a decade, and then for 4 decades be able to come off the gas, or would you rather take it easy for 10 years, and because you took it easy for 10 years, you then have to work harder for the next 40? And I was like, well, this is an interesting article. So I clicked on the article, I'm reading the article, and it was really interesting because what they found was, I mean, there's a lot of things that found, but the premise of that is what we talk about in education, is that too many of you guys as students have this mindset of, oh, listen, like, what feels good today? What feels good this year? What is getting me through right now? Without an understanding of the fact that you are shortcutting today, and you're shortcutting this class, and you're shortcutting this year, how it's going to make your life so much more difficult a year from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, and so forth. We have to pay the toll. We have to pay the price. And I'd rather pay a heavier price for a shorter amount of time to build myself into a super student, so that way I can have a career of greatness. And I'm testament A to that, guys, because I said to myself, I'm going to work my arse off in undergrad. I'm going to work oh so hard, not just to learn the stuff that's here, but also to build myself as a student. So that way I can read effectively. I can understand things effectively. I think my brain is sharpened. It's great at turning through and analyzing things. I'm turning myself into an analytic. And because I did that, guys, medical school was so fun because it was an opportunity for me to learn what everyone else saw as super complex and hard. I had the skills to decipher. And so med school was so fun to me because it was an opportunity to use these skills I had worked so hard over 4 years to obtain, to use them effectively in medical school. And then I saw medical school as, listen, I'm going to use the first 2 years to get super clinically competent, to understand how to learn in medical school, to create this huge, great fund of knowledge and know all the clinical stuff, know the physiology, know this stuff. So that way, the rest of my career is easy. And I sailed through the clinical years. I honored almost everything. Only thing I didn't honor was because I didn't want to. I won't even get into that. It's a long story. But I honored all my rotations that mattered. Why? Because it was easy. And it was easy for me. I was carrying double the amount of patients as other kids. I'm like, other students. I was like, it's easy for me. I can carry as many as the intern. I can carry as many as resident. It's easy because I have efficiency. I have a fund of knowledge. I busted my butt for those first 2 years, and now I'm on easy street. And the same thing in residency. I worked hard early in residency. In the residency, it's easy. I'm intubating with off hands. I'm doing freaky upside down IVs, like monkey IVs, whatever. I'm doing all this stuff because I pushed myself early. I always say to my students, we front load. And then I'm able to coast. And now you fast forward as an anesthesiologist. I have my own group. I do all these things, right? I get to travel as someone who was so bad as a student that I was told I was going to flunk out of college. I'd never get to medical school. Now I go not just to colleges to teach learning strategies. I go to medical schools and teach learning strategies. That's crazy. To go from someone who was told you will never even graduate college, you'll never get to medical school, to now I lecture medical students on how to get it done. Schools pay me, bring me in to do training for their students. And it's all because I paid that price early on. And so I want you guys to do that too. Does that make sense? Now, how do we use AI safely? So again, never put the AI before your understanding. When you are learning new material, give the material a go first yourself. Push yourself to create your own understanding. Then use the AI to challenge you, to enhance, to deepen, to modify, to round out your understanding of the material. When you are spitting the AI, this is the reason the understanding has to come first, because we have to have a base fund of knowledge. We're going to use that knowledge. We're going to check the AI. We're not going to assume the AI is right. We're not going to assume the AI is giving us what we need. Cross-check it with your textbooks, with your lectures, with your own notes. That way you can assure accuracy. Run it by your professor and say, hey, is this right? Don't copy the AI into your clinical documents, guys. When you're on clinical rotations, use the AI to supplement, to help you think, to help you organize yourself, but then write your own stuff. Think about your own stuff, present your own stuff, because that way you would have done the hard work of churning, and then you'll be able to defend your point. And so in clinical situations, one of the things that students get upset about is they call it pimping, where the attending keeps asking questions, hard questions, and getting you to miss questions. And people incorrectly assume that the attending wants you to get all the questions right. No, the attending is probing you to see the depth of your fund of knowledge. And the further along you go, the better your evaluation is going to be, because they can see, oh, this person's deep in this material. It's not superficial. They aren't a TikTok doc. They're a real doctor. That's what they're trying to do. And so if you are using the AI to supplement your clinical understanding, your clinical notes, your clinical documents, you're going to get exposed because the questions are going to come, the pimping is going to come, and you aren't going to be able to handle beyond a superficial level. And it's even worse than just having superficial knowledge, because you pretended to have all this deep knowledge in your note. So I'm like, okay, we're not going to start at level 1, we're going to start at level 10, and you ain't got level 10, you got nothing because you haven't built that. Instead, use AI as this scaffold to draft, to think, to reformulate, to refine, not as your base. Use it to strengthen your reading skills right now. So as you go through your textbooks, as you go through your materials, as you go through your clinical materials, create your own understanding first, and then feed the AI the same information and use it to kind of cross-check, to kind of, oh, I missed that point, or, oh, you know what, I have this understanding. Oh, like, you can use it to enhance and strengthen your reading skills and verify and validate that you're reading well. The last thing I'll say about AI is we all need to have workflows and processes. So one of the ways that we can get very consistent in our performance as students is that we have to have workflows and routines. Routines. So when you guys see me, if you were ever to watch me study, I have the same processes, the same flow throughs, the same steps, the same way I do everything. So I have my system, right? My 5 pillars system, my primary protocol system. It's all about systems. Why? Because systems get repeated like a factory. Consistent, gosh darn, McDonald's output French fries. That's what we're trying to do. And so when you guys are going about your work, you want to build workflows, stepwise processes that get you to a goal. You want to start looking for ways that you can integrate AI in smartly that help you. They enhance your learning clarity. They enhance your learning efficiency, but they aren't doing the heavy lifting. Instead, you're doing the heavy lifting, and they're doing things that just amplify, that make it faster or make it deeper for you. Yes, yes? Does all this make sense? All right. I thank you guys for hanging out with me today. We are live action every single Monday, every single Wednesday at 4 p.m. I have to go because I have coaching with my students right after this. So we'll start coaching at 5 in just a few minutes. But I thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, if you guys have questions, please take the time. Put it in the box. I'll make sure I answer it, guys. I'm here for you guys, right? I've made all my career dreams come true, and now I'm on a mission to empower students. I want all the students who were me, who were the hopeless student, who was told they couldn't make it, I want you to have the skills and the support you need to believe that you can do it and ultimately to do it and achieve it in a big way. So take the time, comment. If you're new here, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm live all the time. We also have the podcast. So if you're like, man, I want to catch up more Dr. Pinesett, but I'm not always on YouTube. Put the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Put it on, get your Dr. P fix, get your positivity, get your productivity on each and every day. All right? If you're really ready to level up and I want Dr. P all the time, right? Nick's on here right now. He just sent me his personal statement. I was reviewing his personal statement today, right? To give him feedback about that. I want you guys to understand, I'm here for you guys. Get to my website. It's premedproductivity.com. I have courses. I have coaching programs. There are free trials. You can go and you can see, oh gosh, this is different than everything else out there. Go check it out, guys. It's all there for you to support you. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time, Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 p.m. How do we always end? No excuses, just dominate, guys. See you next time.
That's it for another episode of the Premed Productivity Podcast. Show your love by smashing the like button and commenting in the box below. Today is the day, guys. No more excuses, no more complaining. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. I challenge you. What are you going to do today to make your life better? Get to my website, premedproductivity.com. Grab a free ebook, sign up for a free webinar, and if you're really ready to transform, enroll in one of my life-changing courses or coaching programs. You have greatness inside you. Let me show you how to unlock it so you can dominate and make your dreams a reality. No excuses, just dominate.